Welcome everyone to this channel where I will be sharing episode reviews of that 1960s television show that I enjoy so much, Lost in Space. I encourage you to like and subscribe so that you don't miss each new installment as I work my way through all 83 episodes of this wonderful series. Up next, Season 1, Episode 24, His Majesty Smith. Some human-looking creatures lure Dr. Smith into becoming King of Andronica. His joy turns to horror once he discovers that Andronican kings are sacrificed. I have occasionally shared that my opinions of some episodes have changed as I have aged, and we have another one here. As a kid, I used to hate His Majesty Smith. Right from the start, with Smith finding a crown just sitting on a rock, it felt like the opening of one of the more kooky Season 2 episodes. More so, to the much younger me, watching Smith play king just seemed so silly. Very many years later, though, this one has grown on me so much that it has actually become one of my absolute favorite episodes. I'll share my many reasons why later, but first, on to our story. Will, Smith, and the robot are out searching for truffles when they discover a crown. Smith warns Will not to touch it, but after sending him and the robot on, he places it on his head. Suddenly, an electrical charge strikes the crown, and Smith is unable to remove it. In response to his screams, Will and the robot come running back to him. When they arrive, Will is able to remove the crown quite easily. Smith tells Will to put the crown down, but the robot announces that it poses no danger to Will. For a bit of fun, Will tries it on and proclaims that it fits. Just then, along with some musical fanfare, a number of seemingly human beings arrive. One of them introduces himself as Nexus of Andronica. He states that they have traveled a great distance seeking someone worthy of wearing this crown. They have found him in Will and now all bow before their majesty. Will introduces himself saying that he's not a king. Smith then introduces himself as Will's counselor and guide and asks about their intentions for Will. Smith is overjoyed to hear that they intend to crown Will King of Andronica. Will, however, declines, saying that he would not want to leave his family. Smith sends Will and the robot off and asks Nexus what will happen if Will continues to refuse the crown, to which Nexus says that they will need to find another candidate. Smith suggests that he may be able to find a suitable alternative and inquires about a finder's fee. Nexus says that he would be rewarded substantially, at which time Smith says that, well, let me leave it to him.
Oh, by the way, I should mention that I am Irish on my maternal grandmother's side.
Is that important?
Only inasmuch as all the Irish are descended from kings. The royal blood already flows through my veins, so to speak. Until later, sir.
Smith turns to leave, at which time Nexus raises a communication device hanging from around his neck.
Master, the first contact has been highly successful. The ruse seems certain to work.
Good.
Smith catches up with Will and tells him that he told the Andronicans to forget about finding a king among them. Smith, as he does so often, tells Will to keep the entire matter a secret, and Will reluctantly agrees, but only after a fun little quip, followed by Smith's even more fun and ever-present indignation.
All right. But please, Dr. Smith, don't start your tricks again. You always get in trouble.
Indeed.
Later that evening, we see Smith sneak out of the Jupiter with a portfolio under his arm. Will catches sight of him and follows from a distance. Before long, Smith arrives at the Andronicans' ship. Nexus greets him, saying that they were not expecting to see him so soon. Smith says he knew they would be anxious for his report, that being a dossier on the men among the Jupiter expedition that could potentially serve as a king. Nexus begins to read through Smith's report. It describes the positive attributes of each male member, but for each, there is a shortcoming.
I'm devoted to him, too. He's the typical bluff, blunt good soldier, forever foremost in the fray.
But again, somewhat lacking in cunning. You place a great premium on cunning, Dr. Smith.
Having exhausted the male members of the Jupiter, Nexus begins to suggest that Smith may be the right person to become their king. Smith feigns modesty and hesitation, thinking that he is manipulating Nexus. As will later be revealed, it is actually Nexus manipulating Smith. Smith accepts, but then asks if this is a trick, but Nexus assures him that before they leave the planet, Smith will be crowned king.
There are no catches to this, are there?
I assure you, you will be crowned King of Andronica before we leave this planet. And now, may I call you my liege lord and king?
Oh, you may. You may indeed.
Your Majesty.
Back at the Jupiter, Will is catching John, Don, and Maureen up on all that he witnessed. Just then, the robot announces a very unusual and insightful warning.
Danger! Danger! Alien artifact approaching!
Don, break out the lasers.
Nexus approaches the Jupiter with an announcement.
You and your entire company are commanded under peril of royal displeasure to present yourselves for judgment tomorrow at the final audience of His Majesty Zachary I before he leaves this place to assume his royal duties as King of Andronica.
You may tell your royal master that we'll be there.
The next day, we see Smith in all of his royal splendor. He's being catered to by his subjects as Nexus announces that his audience is approaching. Nexus then introduces Smith to the Robinsons with some comments that are as foretelling as they are foreboding. After some dialogue, Don suggests that Smith is making a fool of himself, and Smith demands his head. Happily, Nexus advises against that action. Eventually, Smith calls an end to the audience and sends everyone away, and his subjects carry him and his throne back into the Andronican ship. Once inside, we see a hairy hand pass over a control, and suddenly, all of the Andronicans cease to move. Smith, confused and alarmed, starts to stumble about between the still creatures when he suddenly hears someone call out to him.
Your Majesty!
Oh, thank heavens, not everybody is in this ridiculous position and condition. Now, what has happened to these?
Next, we see Smith restrained in a chair as that alien leader comes to introduce himself.
Go away!
So, you do not like the looks of your devoted subjects, huh?
Subject?
I am Andronican. You are king of Andronica.
He goes on to say that Nexus and the other humans are actually androids, artificial beings that he created to look like Smith so that he would agree to become king. Indeed, the alien leader confirms to Smith that he is indeed king. King for their festival of sacrifice, a big festival at which their king is sacrificed so as to ensure a successful and happy year for the people. He goes on to describe to Smith how he will be skinned and stuffed, that in 10,000 years he will look the same as he stands in the immortal Hall of Kings, a very great honor. They will now wait for a ship to come and get them, and with that, he turns to a video screen to see what the Robinsons are doing. Gathered around a table in the Jupiter, they take turns imagining Smith's future as king, when the robot interjects to describe how he has interfered with the aliens' communication with their mothership and recommends further research on the ancient rites of sacrificial kings. Smith warns the aliens that the Robinsons are onto his scheme. The alien, however, turns off his video screen and steps over to Smith, and as he says it,
What are you doing?
Your people want Smith. I give them Smith.
Oh no. Please.
the alien leader has Smith on a table and prepares to make a duplicate Smith. Meanwhile, John, Don, and Will arrive outside the ship with their lasers, and John delivers an ultimatum. Release Smith or they will open fire. Inside the ship, with waving hands, blinking equipment, and smoke-filled tubes, the alien wakes Smith and then awakens the duplicate. This duplicate, of course, looks and sounds exactly like Smith. The alien sends the duplicate out to meet the Robinsons as he once more turns on the video screen so that they can watch. As the ship's door opens, the Robinsons are surprised to see Smith standing alone on the other side. They ask how he came to be free, and the duplicate Smith states simply that he told the Andronicans no, that ruling their kingdom was far beyond his capabilities. Watching from inside the ship, Smith is aghast that the Robinsons are being fooled by the fake Smith as they all march off for the Jupiter together. The next morning, Maureen emerges from the ship and discovers that the breakfast table has already been set. Duplicate Smith arrives saying that he's been awake for hours and has been busy making breakfast for everyone. When John and Don arrive, Duplicate Smith says something that the real Dr. Smith would never say, and it catches the two of them, and then later Will, quite by surprise.
Please, dear lady, let us not be formal. Why don't you just call me Zach?
Zach?
Zach.
Oh, okay, that's the way you want it, Zach.
Thank you, dear Major. Do sit down and have your breakfast. Oh, dear, there is so much to be done today. Professor Robinson, I have an idea about developing that new field of atomic ore. Perhaps I should run on ahead and start the preliminary work.
I don't believe what I'm hearing.
I always thought work was a bad word with you, Dr. Smith.
Oh, good heavens, no, child. Work is the foundation of good character. The harder the work, the better the character. Good morning, dear boy. Why don't you just sit down and let Daddy Zach bring your breakfast?
Daddy, Zach.
Yes, Daddy Zach. I feel like a second father to you. Oh, dear.
We next see the robot trying to make sense out of the new Smith. Will also wonders what the aliens did to effect such a change in him, but Zach simply states that they opened his eyes to all of the potential within him to do good, and with that, Zach returns quite happily to his work. Back inside the alien ship, Smith tries to talk his way out of being the sacrificial king. He describes John and even Will as more capable of being their king, but the alien leader makes it clear why he wants Smith instead of them.
Like me, when you have available a noble mind like Professor Robinson, or great physical courage like Major West, or incipient genius like Will.
You are useless creature. They are useful creatures. It is wasteful to sacrifice useful creatures as king.
You select your kings because they're useless?
Sure. Nobody missed them. Nobody cared.
But you must...
Smith says he will turn over a new leaf, going on to say all that he will become, even rattling off the qualities listed in the Boy Scouts Creed. Here, the alien says there already is such a creature, that Zach was made from Smith. He is a human being made from the essence of Smith, only without his bad qualities. While the alien is admiring Zach on his video screen working away, Smith, in desperation, reaches for a flask and strikes the alien on the head and makes a break for it. The alien tries to close the ship's door, but Smith is able to just barely slip under the door, making the escape, and runs off for the safety of the Jupiter. There, Maureen, Judy, and Penny are tending to some domestic chores when they see the real Smith running towards them, looking for help and protection. I like the way Smith says that he's trying to save his own skin, literally, as well as his quick response to Penny.
I am literally running to save my skin. Time is of the essence.
What's wrong, Uncle Zach?
Don't call me Zach!
Girls, please go on. Take
Just then, Zach and Will arrive, fresh from their labors, singing their way into camp, and Maureen now realizes for the first time that there are actually two Dr. Smiths. Later, John is questioning the two Smiths, and it's hard to overlook the humor he seems to find in the situation. Zach calls out Smith's faults rather plainly, and insulted, Smith rises from his chair and storms off. Continuing the discussion with Zach, John makes it clear that there is not enough room in their troop for two Dr. Smiths, and that the real Dr. Smith was there first. Zach makes it clear, though, that he is every bit as human as Smith, only without his many faults. Lingering at the door, the real Smith is comforted to hear John assert that, with all of his faults, Dr. Zachary Smith is their friend and they don't want to lose him. Later, we see Zach working on a plumbing project when Smith confronts him, accusing him of trying to win a place in everyone's heart. But Zach reminds Smith that the aliens have not gone away, that they will certainly be coming for him. Smith then tries to argue that Zach should take his place.
Without fault. Oh, my dear sir, surely you realize that sacrifice is more in your line than mine. Think it over.
That evening, knowing that the aliens will certainly be coming for Smith, John is at the Jupiter's viewport standing watch. Maureen sees one of the Smiths outside and asks which Smith that is. As he's working, John asks if it's not already obvious, and goes on to say that the real Smith is cowering in his cabin. He then says that the robot is out on patrol, watching for any alien movement. Just then, we see the robot as he is approached by one of the androids. He sounds the alarm while a second android sneaks up from behind him and removes his power pack. Back at the Jupiter, John steps outside with his laser rifle, and he tells Smith to stop working and get inside the ship for his safety. That Smith, however, says that he has nothing to fear, as the Andronicans do not want him. He shall therefore continue working. Then Don and Will run into camp saying that they saw the robot has been deactivated and can now expect a confrontation at any moment. While retrieving a tool, Will is startled by one of the androids and runs back to alert John and Don, who then turn on the force field. With a flash of lightning, the alien leader now speaks in a booming voice remotely from his ship. He says that if they do not surrender the real Smith, all will perish. 3 android guards and then Nexus all instantly appear. As a demonstration of their invincibility, Nexus walks straight through the force field. Don raises his laser rifle just as Smith runs out of the ship, calling out to stop. He says that any resistance is futile, and he is determined to sacrifice himself so as to not put others into harm's way.
I will go out and surrender to them.
No, we won't let you.
Dear little Nipper, my mind is made up, and I shall give my life gladly to save those I have grown to love. But whether on the scaffold high or in the battle's van, the fittest place a man can die is where he dies for man. How beautiful.
John is determined that Smith not do this, but in a rather startling turn, Smith actually trains a laser pistol on him as he warns John to stay back, that he will not hesitate to shoot if it means saving the lives of the others. He then marches up to Nexus and demands, well, to hear Smith say it,
Fetch me my royal crown and raiment. If you must take me, I shall go as your king.
With another flash of lightning, the Robinsons are disheartened to see Smith disappear with the androids. It is at this moment that the other Smith reveals that he is the real Smith in only the way that Jonathan could.
They took him.
Certainly not. There.
Enough of this masquerade. Oh, my back. I'm afraid I shall have to retire to restore my vital forces.
Daddy Zach.
Daddy Zach, indeed. I never want to hear that revolting name ever again in my presence. Now that's the real Dr. Smith.
You are Smith.
It quickly becomes clear that Smith was able to persuade Zach to take his place and that he, the real Smith, is still among them. He goes on to say that they should not mourn for Zach as the Andronicans disdain waste, that once they realize that he is a useful creature, they will not harm him. The next scene introduces our next episode, and I will once more withhold my comments until my review of that episode, The Space Croppers. So a few more thoughts about His Majesty Smith. As I said right up front, I used to hate this one when I was much younger because Smith finding a crown, being made king, Receiving an audience of the Robinsons, the duplicate Smith, and so on, it just all seemed too silly. Now, I more fully appreciate what we have in what is actually a very dark episode. The idea that the Andronicans want to make Smith their king so that they can sacrifice him, skin him, stuff him. Wow. And all the more so, the intricate ruse they put on not to kidnap Smith, but to have him anxiously volunteer for the role. Wow again. As an adult, this has become one of my favorite episodes. Now, some of that credit goes to the first of our two guest stars, Liam Sullivan, as Nexus. He played Nexus perfectly. As an android, Sullivan could have played him rather robotically, but he didn't. His dry, almost Spock-like delivery allows him to be believable enough as a human to fool Smith as well as us the viewers. But then also, when it's revealed that he's actually, well, what the alien leader describes as an artificial being, he's just as believable as an android. And it is Nexus that gives us our first little peek into the fact that there is a ruse being laid. A ruse in which he is a very central character.
Master, the first contact has been highly successful. The ruse seems certain to work.
It's especially fun later as we watch Nexus listen to Smith's characterization of the Robinsons' qualities to be king, especially as we come to understand what it is that Nexus recognizes and indeed even values in Smith. You can see the satisfaction written across Nexus's face as he recognizes that the ruse has been successful.
If I say so myself.
We might do worse in selecting a king.
Surely you couldn't be considering modest, unassuming me.
Ah, but we could. In fact, the more I consider it, the more I think you are made for the job, Dr. Smith.
How uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. Do you mean it?
I do.
Oh, the pain of it. The royal pain of it.
And finally, recognizing that everything they have done to this point is a ruse, it's fun to watch Nexus pull Smith along, ultimately getting Smith himself to freely accept.
I accept. There will, of course, be a proper coronation,
Naturally.
and I shall be able to receive my friends in regal splendor.
If you wish.
I do indeed. I can't wait to see their eyes bulge when they... Look here. There are no catches to this, are there?
I assure you, you will be crowned King of Andronica before we leave this planet. And now, may I call you my liege lord and king?
Next, there's the alien leader portrayed by Kevin Hagen. Some who are down on this episode hold this character out as one of the reasons. They point to things like the Wolfman makeup or the somewhat cartoonish way he speaks in broken English. But for me, it is this alien leader who really makes this episode. Earlier, I described His Majesty Smith as a dark episode. Beyond the dark premise of the story, it's the dialogue that is positively chilling. Actually, it's not even the dialogue as much as the way that Hagen delivers those lines. There's a real nonchalant quality as to how this alien leader expresses himself. It is that nonchalantness that elevates what is merely dark into something far more chilling, such as when he describes the festival and what will happen to Smith. Again, it's not just that description, it's that nonchalant quality that comes along with that description.
No. Sacrifice king so everybody be happy, well, prosperous in year to come.
Sacrifice the king?
Skin him. Stuffing, very good stuffing. Last many years. 10,000 years from now, you look same. Standing hall of immortal kings, very great honor.
We see it again later when he explains why he wants Smith and not the others.
Because they're useless?
Sure. Nobody missed them. Nobody cared.
And yet again, how he characterizes the androids.
Nexus and the others?
They are non-personalities.
Non-personalities?
I make them.
You make
Returning to the story, I love the way everything about this ruse is revealed to us so gradually. There's that first statement at the start of the episode when Nexus first communicates with his leader. We get a bit more insight when Nexus appears at the Jupiter for the first time, and the robot warns not of an alien, but
He
instead,
got himself into.
Danger! Danger! Alien artifact approaching!
Don, break out the lasers.
later, there's Nexus's introduction of Smith to the Robinsons, and the one line that might pass quickly enough to be missed.
Most sublime and willing sacrifice, Zachary the First, King of Andronica.
One of the frequent criticisms of Lost in Space is that the writing lacked subtlety. To the extent that is sometimes true, certainly not this time. Without question, this episode centers around Smith, and Jonathan carries it wonderfully. There's everything from his absolute horror as the alien describes what will happen to him,
10,000 years from now, you look same. Stand in hall of immortal kings, very great honor. Let me out of here.
to his positively overwhelmed reaction as Nexus asks if he may call him his liege.
My liege lord and king.
Oh, you may. You may indeed.
Your Majesty.
King Zachary the First. Oh my.
Smith's audience with the Robinsons as king is good for a number of smiles. I always laugh out loud first when Smith calls for Don's head, then his authoritarian what as Nexus whispers in his ear, and ultimately saving Don's life
Come on,
and his head.
Here, you're making a fool of yourself.
Guard, fetch us yon varlet's head.
Unwise to provoke an incident, Your Majesty.
What?
Time to depart.
I see. Our advisor tells us that it is best at this time to avoid an incident. Therefore, we shall graciously spare your life and your head. But do not tempt our anger further.
Some might reasonably say that this audience scene is a drag on this episode, that it's one of its negatives, and I get that. It can seem silly and over the top and detract from a very serious episode. For me and my tastes, I actually don't see it over the top at all, because in my opinion, what we are seeing from Smith is exactly the way this character would act if he were suddenly made king. And this is what allows for the comedy to work, and work it does. Even beyond the Don head incident, I have to smile at the way he calls for another grape, or his groaning as he stands. It's all classic Smith, and I enjoy it quite a lot.
A grape, dear.
Nexus, your king has a very delicate back.
The pain.
For me, this scene is a good exhibit of how comedy, when done well, can add to, instead of detract, from an otherwise serious episode. So often, it's small details that make for a fun scene. I always get a giggle out of Will when Smith tries to justify his handling of the crown, the way Will nods in sort of a, "oh sure you were" sort of manner. Beyond the giggles, little nuances like that are yet another exhibit of Bill's skill as an actor in spite of his very young age. And there's just no denying that he and Jonathan had wonderful chemistry together. From an effects perspective, we have the two Smiths, and here it is all done fantastically. Unlike the Oasis, where the split screen between the giant Smith and the others was so painfully obvious, here in His Majesty Smith, the split screen is rarely even detectable at all, and it's all quite convincing. More so, there's a scene when the duplicate Smith is being created. We see the alien leader has the real Smith in one tube. He interacts with some equipment and then comes to the second tube with the duplicate Smith, and it's all one continuous scene. There are no cuts. We see Smith on one table, and then we see Zach on the other. What happened is after the alien left Smith on the first table, Jonathan had to quickly get up, dash behind the camera, and get in place lying inside the tube on the second table, all before the camera got there. A challenging scene that is done so well, and it's all very convincing. It's also worth noting that Jonathan claimed to be highly claustrophobic, and this is why we see the cutout of those tubes around his head. Thinking about the Zack character, I can appreciate how some fans might think this whole element was a bit over the top, and they'd be right. I think the whole Daddy Zack thing could have been toned down a bit. That said, I do get a few real smiles out of it. I especially love the startled reaction from Don, as well as the disbelief written across Will's face at the suggestion of calling him Daddy Zack. I think the final scene is very well done. There are a number of goodbye scenes across all of Lost in Space, and I think this is among the better of them. We probably all knew that it would be Zack leaving with the androids, as we certainly can't have the series' star killed off. That said, posing as Smith, his brave front, his romanticized words, pulling a laser on John to prevent interference, the whole royal regalia, and the mournful look back at the family, it's all very touching and very well done. Some of Lost in Space episodes are great and sometimes conclude a bit weakly. Not this time. Now, I have gone on for quite some time sharing all that I love about His Majesty Smith, so are there any negatives? Well, a few, and they are all pretty minor. Maybe chief among them is the robot. How did the robot come to understand the alien's intent with respect to sacrificing Smith? And how did the robot come to be able to communicate with the mother ship? Earlier in the episode, we see the robot able to detect the aliens approaching from inside the Jupiter. Yet the robot seems completely unaware of not one but two of them as they approach to remove his power pack later in the episode. It's also a bit unclear as to exactly what was it that the aliens were housed in. Was that their spaceship? That's how Nexus refers to it. But is it a spaceship made out of rocks? Unquestionably, all these things are very minor. That said, it would have required only very small tweaks to the script to correct them, and it's a shame that that wasn't done. That, however, in no way drags on my enjoyment of this episode. Before wrapping up, I'll take a moment to call out a few minor recycling of props. One is the door of the Andronicans' spaceship. It's quite obviously the same door that we saw on the Keeper's spaceship. The other may be a bit less obvious. It's the derelict. During the scene when the alien leader is working to create the duplicate, we see him waving his hands among assorted bits of equipment. One of them is the model for the derelict spaceship from episode number 2, now stood up on end. It's neat to see and very easy to miss. So with that, let me give the last word to our alien leader.
Virtues, well, I'm a bit of a rogue, you know.
We know. We know all the time.
All the time?
We set out bait for you.
For me? But the crown rejected me when I first put it on.
Make you want it more. Make you lie, betray your friends to become king. You pass test for kind of king we want.
His Majesty Smith is a great story, and I enjoy it quite a lot. Most of the credit goes to some wonderful dialogue, and especially the way those lines are delivered by everyone from the alien leader to Nexus to Smith. The ruse is exciting, and I love the gradual way in which it is revealed to us. And there's even some fun and well-placed comedy that adds to my enjoyment. I find His Majesty Smith to be a lot of fun, and it gets an A+ from me. I rank it a very high 10th for the season and 17th for the series, putting it comfortably within the top quarter of all episodes. Indeed, I rank it only a bit more highly than such wonderful episodes as Wish Upon a Star and Attack of the Monster Plants. I simply enjoy it that much. If you would like to see the full Lost in Space series, it presently airs for free on METV. You can also still pick up Lost in Space on DVD. Walmart currently sells a box set that includes some wonderful extras, and it's available at a very modest cost. Better still, pick up Lost in Space on Blu-ray. That set also features a number of wonderful extras, including commentary by the cast. Like I said, I'm a fan, and for me, the Blu-ray is a must-have. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on His Majesty Smith. One of the things I enjoy most about sharing reviews like this is how different fans perceive each episode quite differently, and I invite you to leave your own perspectives below in the comments. Most of all, I hope you will come back to join me when I review our next episode, The Space Croppers. This is an episode that many fans consider to be the weakest across all of Season 1. While I do rank it among my least favorites of the first season, I think it is much better than its reputation and look forward to sharing my reasons why. Once again, I recommend subscribing so that you don't miss each new installment. Thanks for watching.